Most of the women who come to me, they're like, oh, I look so outdated. I'm like, I don't even know what's in style anymore. Like, I'm still wearing my skinny jeans. So we start with really clarifying their personal style. What is it? How is it that they want to show up? My earliest memory is around, I would say, 11, 12. Never knew this had a name. Like, I just knew like my hands and my feet would sweat.
Welcome back to the Sweaty Girl Society podcast. In today's episode, we are speaking with Vany Hernández. Vany is a style coach. She is the creator of Style by Vany, and she also lives with hyperhidrosis herself. So, welcome to the show, Vany.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm here. Oh my gosh, something that I want to share. My first time sharing it publicly. But really excited also to share how I've lived with this for 42 years?
Yeah. Oh, I'm 42 as well.
Years?
So,
Yes. Oh my gosh. But I've been managed to be with this since what that I can remember, which I think my earliest memories was like my teenage years.
yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your story, given that this is your first time talking about it. I know it takes a lot of courage and bravery to speak openly about it. So thank you. I'm sure that a lot of our listeners will be inspired by what you have to say today. So why don't we jump in to your story? How old were you when your first memory of hyperhidrosis? How old were you? How did it shape your teenage years? Did you get a diagnosis? Have you tried treatments? Whatever you want to sort of share about your personal journey with hyperhidrosis.
So, I think like I said, my earliest memory is around, I would say, 11, 12. So I wasn't born here in the USA. I'm actually from Belize. So back in my country, I never knew this had a name. Like, I just knew like my hands and my feet would sweat. And I remember back then we used to have those like plastic sandals. I don't know if like they were on trend.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like wear it and it would like be very slippery, but I don't even know how I managed to still wear those things.
Yeah, slipping and sliding in the
Yes,
sandals.
we called it like shusha sandals. I don't know. Based like, after a singer over there.
Okay.
So around that time is when I really noticed again, I lived with that my whole teenage years. I didn't know until 2004 I came here. Well, no, my mom took me a few times to the doctor back in Belize, and they would tell her every time that it would come off as I got older.
Mm,
It
it would
never
go
did.
away.
Yes, that it would.
Yeah.
And then what else? My mom would say, "Oh, it's your like your nerves." Like, I think my nervous
Mm-hmm.
system. She thought, it's your
Mm-hmm.
nervous system. It's like when you're anxious and when you're nervous, and it's gonna go away as you get older. Like,
Yeah.
they would tell her. So they would give me hope, right? But at the same
Yeah.
time, never came off. When I came here in 2004, I went to the dermatologist. They gave me some kind of cream. I didn't feel it really helped. And then after that, I just continued with the sweating
Yeah.
until last year that I discovered one of the Facebook groups. And that's where I learned it has a name. That's where I learned that so many other people suffer from this. And that's where I found you. I found your community, which I'm so grateful for. And that's when actually I learned hyperhidrosis. That's what I've had all my life.
Wow. Wow. So you went 40 years without knowing the name for what you had.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know this had a name. I didn't ever get to meet anyone that I remember back in my country that suffered from this. So yeah,
Interesting.
it was hard, especially with the shoe part.
Yeah, for sure. No, I
Yeah.
mean, hyperhidrosis is very underdiagnosed. So that's not an uncommon experience, the one that you had, unfortunately, right?
Mhm.
People think, oh, you're just anxious. Oh, you're just nervous. It's puberty. It's going to go away, right? These are things that I've heard commonly before. So you're definitely not alone there. And I'm glad that you now have some terminology to use so that,
Yes, and now I have this, I feel that I have this community or support group, and just when I read their comments, I can really feel for them. because I understand what they go through.
Yeah, it's hard to understand what it's like to live with hyperhidrosis until you experience it
Yes, and
because
then from what I've read, some have it, I think, worse, right, than others. Like some
okay.
are very like mild, and
Yeah.
then I have others who have, other parts in their body that sweat. Just makes it so much harder.
Yeah. And do you have certain triggers? Are there certain things that cause you to sweat more, whether that's, humidity or heat or certain materials or textures or foods, or do you sort of sweat all the time?
I think I have to notice that a little bit more because I've heard about, what I've read in the groups about when you eat something. I haven't like really noticed. Maybe that's, but for me, it's the, how can I say, like during the cold weather, I feel like my hands sweat when it's
Mm,
cold. I don't think it's much the heat because I feel like I'm not a big person on sweating except because my feet sweat. But overall, like I don't really sweat even when I exercise. I don't really sweat a lot.
yeah, interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
no, I don't really sweat a lot. And so when it's cold, I sweat very cold. And that's when
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay.
oh
You
my
get
gosh,
really
like I don't even want to shake
chilly.
hands.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
The cold
want to shake
shivers.
hands. And it's so funny because then I'm like, okay, sometimes I have to do because we go to church every Sunday, and every time I tell my husband, oh, that's the part that I don't like. Like, the pastor will say like, okay, say hi to two, three people. And I always carry like a little piece of, paper towel or something with me. And then I dry it really quick. And then I'm like, shake the hands and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
interesting. I mean, some people sweat more. I'm somebody that sweats more when it's hot and humid. Humidity really does it for me. So it
Mhm.
could be cold and humid, but usually that humidity comes with the heat. But I've definitely heard a lot of people say that they sweat more in the cold. So it's so interesting what triggers
Yes.
us.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
definitely I still feel that when I'm a little, I guess, anxious, like if I know I'm gonna do a presentation or, things like that. But what I noticed is, for example, I think I had mentioned in your community, I have a presentation. Well, I had a presentation this past Thursday. And I was, I can feel my hands sweating. But then after I'm up there and I start talking, like I don't really notice
Mm-hmm.
it's sweating or not. I think I'm like focused on, what I'm gonna speak about. I just don't really notice if the sweating is still there. But
Yeah. And I,
before that, I do because I'm feeling like, I like to say excitement.
yeah, yeah. No, and I think that's such a good point is that you mentioned that you don't sweat as much when you exercise and you don't sweat a ton when you're giving a presentation, right? So
But for me,
hyperhidrosis,
I meant like here because I mean, when I exercise, of course, like let's say I have to do like push-ups. I guess I'm sweating, like my hands are sweating there.
okay, you
But
start
it's like
thinking,
sweating here, like other people who have like, dripping. That kind of sweating, I don't get much.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty the same as well. And so it's interesting that hyperhidrosis, it's not just total sweating, right? It's
Mhm.
not just sweating in
Certain person.
strange times, in strange situations
Yes.
when we're excited. Sometimes if I'm really focused on something and I'm like really intent and,
Mhm. And the hands,
focused in
right?
on something, then I'll start sweating. I'm the same. Like if I give a presentation, I'm not necessarily having a hyperhidrosis sort of sweating moment in that moment. But if I have to wear a specific type of shoes, then my feet will be sweating from the contact against the
Yeah.
feel, or if I have to shake somebody's hand. So it's so interesting how we all sweat in different ways. But it's not aligned with how most people sweat. Most people go to the gym and sweat. Yeah. So you tried a topical treatment that you got from your dermatologist, and that
Yes.
didn't go too well.
No, I also tried the electricity one. What's it called? Dermadry?
Iontophoresis.
Yeah, with the Dermadry, right?
Dermatry. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
one of
I
the
think
brands.
I
Yep.
got that. Let me see. Like, I think that was last same year when I got to that in the group.
Okay.
Got to
Okay.
learn about that. I did try. It's so hard for me to like. It just really takes so long, like to be there for like 20 minutes, then 20 minutes, like an hour.
Hmm.
And I did try it. I felt it helped a little bit because I have the old version. I think they have an updated one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then, so yeah, I started like during the spring. So I'm like, okay, maybe summer, I'm going to be able to use some nice, sandals. And I tried it during that time, but I won't lie, it's like so hard for me to be there still for so long. I tried to put a podcast or a YouTube, but sometimes it's like, so I didn't continue. I didn't continue doing that. I still have it there if I wanted to do it. But I think that that's mostly what has helped me, but it wasn't completely dry like others would say that they would really help them. So I don't know if I had to do it more time because I felt like I did like 12 weeks. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's still too little.
It takes a little bit of adjusting and playing
Yeah.
around and yeah,
So I
getting the
think it's
settings
different
right.
for everyone too.
Yeah, it does take it's a commitment of time though, and you do need
Yes,
to get into that routine. So
I
I
agree.
do understand that. There's times that I don't feel that committed to the routine, and
I
then
know, right? Maybe I
yeah.
don't want it so bad.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've gone through your whole life, like we've gone through our whole lives, I'm the same age
Mhm.
as you, gone through our whole lives sweating, you just sort of like it's just part of your daily experience and you
I
kind of learn to
know,
cope.
I know. I told my husband, like, oh, I'm married already.
Yeah.
Like maybe if I did, it would like be like, okay, I really needed to be dry, but I know it's hard sometimes. I've read in the comments like about dating. I just encourage them. Whoever's gonna be with you, like he's gonna love you just as you are, sweaty hands and everything.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I haven't tried. I heard you guys talk about the pills. I think I should give it a try.
Glycopyrrolates or oxybutynin. Yeah, there's definitely some oral options. Again, it's like for me, the times that I've used glycopyrrolate have been to go to a wedding where
Okay.
I just wanted to wear a dress that I wanted to wear. I wanted to wear shoes that I wanted to wear, and I just wanted to experience a wedding without dripping with sweat. Because for me, hot summer humidity weddings like that, those are like triggers for me. So I used it then. I used it for my son's graduation. But again, for me, it's like I just sort of live with it, you know? But
Yeah.
everybody's different. I mean, and some people do. I'm lucky that I don't have a cranial facial hyperhidrosis on
Yeah.
my
Me
face.
neither.
And, I that would be difficult. That would be really hard, right? So
Yes.
I think it's a really personal decision around how we treat it, how we live with it, and and that sort
Does
of
it
thing.
have like a lot of like side effects?
The glycopyrrolate, it gives you like dry mouth. It sort of dries you up everywhere. So I found the next day my throat hurt a little bit because I was
Really?
dry. It also made me feel a little bit dizzy, a little bit like floaty in the clouds.
Okay.
So I experimented with my dosage and sort of went up a little, down a little within the range that my doctor gave me. I like to think of it as these are all options in the
Yeah.
toolkit. Sometimes topical might be right for a certain scenario. Sometimes iontophoresis is right. Maybe we ramp it up to
Yeah.
glycopyrrolate if we want a full body experience.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a try,
So,
especially if I have an event in June. So maybe I'll try
hmm,
for that and see if I have, see
yeah,
any difference. Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's
they mostly been topical, like that I've tried.
right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you now know that you have hyperhidrosis. There is a name for it. It is a medical condition. It's legit, and you do deserve treatment options if you wish. So, I want to shift gears and talk about your career then as a style coach. What led you to this career? How did you get into it?
Well, I've always really loved clothing and I guess fashion since little. I think that's just part of also my memories, and that's where I came with the shoes and all of that. I wanted to try in the teenage years because I always loved to dress up. And again, when I came here, I did do my college in Belize. When I came here, well, I tried continue to study to go for my bachelor's. I did my transferred my credits, but my little brother passed away around that time, so everything kind of like shifted for me. So I started first into the life coaching, and then I was doing life coaching, but at the same time I was like, you know what? I still have this part of me who wants to do something related to clothing, to style, and so I tried to combine both, but it didn't kind of work as I would have loved to. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be focusing on the styling part. Again, I didn't even know that was a career. I actually won like a raffle from like an image consultant. And when I did the consultation with her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was something, right? So that's where I started. I started taking courses and online virtually classes. And then I took my certification from this institute in London. And that's how I started because I just love clothing, but at the same time, I also wanted to help women. It's just kind of empowering them and aligned to who they are. Like that's one of my messages. And so that's how it started. That's what I'm doing now. I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom. So I dedicate to, my time to my kids, like picking them up, dropping them off, all the things we have to do as moms. And so I do this part-time, I would say right now, while
Nice.
my kids are at school.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to it. I mean, just, taking virtual classes in person and all the opportunities we get to have here, yes, in the US.
Awesome. Nice. That's great. And so how does hyperhidrosis impact your career? I work from home too, which is a
Mhm.
huge blessing.
I
So I'd
know.
say working from home is a huge blessing when you have hyperhidrosis, but I'm sure that it impacts you in other ways. So what has been your experience there?
Yes, I think for me is mostly when I have to attend, like I said, in-person events. It's a presentation or a networking event. I always think again, what am I gonna wear? Because I need to feel comfortable. If I sweat, I don't want like the stains to show and all of those things. I also do virtual. So like you said, virtual is we don't have to like be there a lot. But then I also do the in person, and yeah, usually it's mostly for those events that it really, I guess, bothers me a bit when I have to do that, and certain fabrics, certain shoes that I can't use. I mean, I've been able to manage it even, with my hyperhidrosis. I still wear some things that I know I shouldn't, but it's like, I'm just aware, I guess, a little more aware when I'm there. So definitely that's where I think it mostly affects me. Other would be maybe when I'm working with clients, if it's in person, sometimes if I'm trying to like, I don't know, fold their blazer or just like style them or something, I try to be careful to not, if my hands are sweating a lot, which I feel like sometimes it doesn't. I think when I'm focused on my work or I'm enjoying it, I don't think it sweats as much. Maybe because I'm like focused on something else. I don't know
Mm.
if you've noticed that
Mhm.
about your, sweating.
Yeah.
If I think of it, it sweats more.
Yes.
If I think of like, oh my god, my hands wanna sweat, like, boop, I feel like it starts sweating.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
get tingles when your hands sweat at all? Do you get, like, a
No, it
tingly
just
feeling?
gets like really like I feel sometimes it gets like swollen. Have you noticed
Yes,
that?
I get swelling as well.
Yes, it
Yes,
does
it's
feel
very
like a little
frustrating.
swollenness, but yes, because I've noticed it when I wear like flats,
Yes, my
like
feet
it gets
swell.
tighter.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, yes, I do get that, but the tingles, no, I don't think I get that.
Okay, if I think about my sweating on my hands,
Mhm.
then my hands will start tingling, and then I'll start sweating,
Yeah,
and so it's like a fun party trick. I'm like, "Watch me make my hands sweat on
I
command."
know, right? I know my husband's like, "Don't think about it, like, you're saying it." Oh, I'm like, "Oh my god, you don't understand."
Yeah. Yeah. Easier said
Yes,
than done, don't think about it.
I know. Yeah, so I think as in my and what I do, that's where I guess, bothers me more, but at the same time, I feel like privilege, I'm guessing because I feel like I'm able to understand, even though my niche is not like sweaty people,
Mhm.
if I ever get those kinds of people, like, I'll really, really understand them. I'll be able to get the right fabrics for them, really understand them much more completely because I know where they're coming from and what things they can use and what they cannot, you know, all of those things. So definitely something that, you know.
Mhm. Gives you some empathy.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe it's not the sweating, maybe it's another condition that they're going through. But, it's gonna be, yeah, I'll be able to understand them much better
Yeah.
than when it's someone just, not suffering from anything and just can use anything,
Right.
which, yeah, we can't. unfortunately, even though I love clothing and so many beautiful brands out there, I unfortunately cannot use just any
Right.
kind of shoes
Yeah.
or any kind of fabrics, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I notice it when I go shopping if I'm attending a wedding or something, and you go shopping
Yes,
for a dress, and it's like, "Oh, look at this beautiful silk dress."
yes, oh my gosh, or
No,
or
that's a hard
something
no.
like that, I'm like, "Oh my god, no," like, it's gonna show, you know, because for me, it's mostly my hands, my feet, and, like, my underarms. So, definitely, I think of that whenever I
Yeah. Yeah. So what
decide.
sort of clothes do you look for when you're shopping for yourself? Do you have any certain go-to fabrics, prints,
Yeah,
layering?
definitely. Of course, I try to do natural fabrics, but sometimes, of course, we can't just afford those natural fabrics, right? But prints always saves me.
Mhm.
Certain prints, certain colors that don't show as much. I do like layering, like right now, like I do have this like, you know, faux leather top. Of course, I've worn it without, but it's easier for the sweat to show than if you have something else. It won't show as much. Like you know, you feel it sometimes you're sweating, but you know, it doesn't really show
It doesn't show.
out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And definitely the underarm pads. I think it helps, especially when it's something like a blazer, things like that.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
wear, like, disposable underarm pads, or you
Yes,
just mean
sometimes I will.
you do?
Do you
And
use it?
no, I never have actually, and so I'm interested
Yeah,
to know.
if it's like a top or a blazer, I usually would do it. But if it's a top where it's a color that won't show, like you know, you won't be able to see that you have the underarm pads right there.
Yeah.
I do use it. I have like 3 packs that I bought. I can't remember the brand. It's not from Amazon. It's another brand. Another stylist recommended it. Not she just recommends it to her clients.
Okay.
Because I think even though they don't suffer from hyperhidrosis, I think some people still sweat a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, and even to protect your clothes.
even to protect the clothes and so it doesn't smell and, you know, just you don't have to, like, wash it
Yeah.
every time you put it on.
Yeah, well, if you figure out the name of the, brand
Yes,
after, let
yes,
me know
because
and
I
I'll
have
link
it
it.
here, but I don't wanna, like, unless I
Yeah.
can go out there.
I'll put it in the show notes for
Yes,
people.
so that definitely helps me. Prints, like I said, patterns, that really helps, yeah, and then the colors. Well, light colors, I love the white tees, but it's so hard sometimes it says, like, yellow, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do find that when I wear antiperspirant, but then that sweats off onto my clothes quite quickly, and that ends
Okay.
up getting the antiperspirant on the
Yes.
clothes and discoloring things quite quickly,
Mhm.
especially if it's a more inexpensive, thinner cotton or a polyester mix.
Yeah, but yeah, usually do sweat more with polyester. But again, like for the summer, I use mostly like tank tops or spaghetti straps, you know? So I do sweat, I'm feeling it, but it's not really getting into my clothes. Like I said, I don't even know how I really manage
Yeah, no,
especially
I
when
get
it
what you
comes to
mean.
clothing, but I mean, I can feel it sometimes,
You
I can
can.
see it.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like there's a fine balance between the amount you're sweating versus how much it's drying by
Mhm.
itself, and you can sort of feel things it getting wetter and wetter, but if you have some air circulation, then it's also drying. And
Yes.
yeah,
And
finding that balance.
I've tried, like, also the, you know, what's it, deodorant or what do you call it? Antiperspirant?
Yeah.
I've tried one, like, with it comes with a gel. What's it called? A red one. Have you tried that one?
Oh, Dura-Dry maybe? Or
Yeah, I think it was Dura-Dry. It
they
brings,
have a
like,
red
3.
packaging.
Yeah, I think you put one while in the shower or something like that, and then it's like a gel.
Okay,
Again, it's those
okay.
things that you have to be really consistent at, and if we go through the whole thing and it doesn't work, like, you're
Yeah,
not sure you wanna buy it again.
yeah, you have to
But
remember,
if
and
it
when you're
works, then of course you're gonna try it again.
yeah, but when you're busy and you're a mom and you've got lots of things going on and you know you
Mhm.
can get by layering clothes and yeah,
Yes,
it's
that's
like,
why
"Oh,
I'm like saying, like, we don't want it that bad.
yeah, yeah,
If we really wanted it that bad, we would, like, you know, stay there for the hour that I need to. So, yeah, all of those things. Other things that do help me is the somersaults.
okay."
Do
Summer
you use
soles,
those?
the inserts for your shoes. I've
Yes.
never tried them, but I would love to
You
learn more.
haven't? Oh my
I've tried
goodness,
I've
has
tried
allowed me. to use so many like kind of shoes.
Okay.
So
I've
I
tried just
usually
like the disposable ones from Amazon and they were fine, but I have heard people speak very highly about the brand Summer
yes,
Soles. So
I've
maybe I'll have to try
bought
them.
yes, I think I've bought this for so many years, yeah. I think even before I knew about hyperhidrosis, I don't even know if they mentioned hyperhidrosis there, but I remember buying these things. And so I'll buy it. I'll buy like 6 pair, just I think they do like 3 sticks, something like that. And sometimes they have like a special going on. And so I'll buy them. I'll just keep them there. And when I get like my new shoes, I'll just take my time to cut it and just.
And do they stick in?
They stick.
Okay.
So they're right there in my shoes.
Mm-hmm. And they absorb the sweat.
They absorb a lot of the sweat. So it's not as slippery as if you didn't have them. And then I'm able to use like, you know, high heels.
Mm.
In my flats, sometimes I'll put it on. Yeah. But for the summer, I'll usually use sneakers or flats.
Mm-hmm.
I
And is
don't wear
that
a lot of sandals during the summer. I
you
wish
don't wear a lot of sandals?
like during the day, but
Yeah.
when I go to like let's say a church or a party or something like that, I do use like wedges, things like that. But again with the somersaults.
The summer soles in them. Okay, I'll have to give them a try. Yeah, it's tough. Shoes are difficult for me. I'd say they're one of my biggest challenges when it comes to clothing
What do
because
you use? Like what do you find yourself using more?
I I find that I have to buy usually a flat that has a leather bottom or some
Mm.
sort of absorbent base to it, or if I can wear a small sock with it, like one of those socks that you can't see like they're
Like the ones
the short ones.
yeah, I tried
Yeah,
to
like
use those.
I need sort of like a terry like a cotton or a terry cloth or a cork or something that's gonna absorb the sweat. If I try to put my feet right onto like a plasticky feeling, then it's just it just pools. I just get pools of sweat and I get
Really
sweat
hard.
blisters
Gosh.
and my
Oh,
feet
sweat
swell.
blisters.
Yeah, or water
Never
blisters, I
done that.
guess. And my feet swell and yeah, it's just very unpleasant.
I know, I
Summer is
know.
difficult for me for shoes. Okay, so I would love now if we could circle back to your style coaching and the work you do there. Can you speak a little bit about how you help women develop style, regardless of whether or not they have hyperhidrosis or not? Your style coaching.
Yeah, so thank you for asking. So I came up with my process that I call Vany style method, what is basically the process that I guide them from feeling overwhelmed, outdated to feeling confident, aligned, and excited about what they wear because, most of the struggle with women is like, what do I wear? Right. So we start with really clarifying their personal style. What is it? How is it that they want to show up? What's their style, personality, their style essence that will align with who they are? Because at the end, they all want like those nice outfits that feels and looks like them, right? Because anyone can just wear any outfit that they see in social media or the influencer shows them by this by that, but if it doesn't feel like you, right? So that's like the first part, like having that visual identity. Then we go to like their best colors, like their aligned, which I call their aligned silhouettes. So finding what works for their body shape and also with their skin color, hair color, eye color. So I do like the color analysis. So if they're like within my area, local, well, I'll do it in person, but if they're virtual, we'll do it online. So yeah, the style personality, the body shape, the colors, their lifestyle, identifying their needs. I think that plays a big part of what actually they need because you can see these cute outfits online, but sometimes it's like, okay, does it work for the life that you have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their lifestyle is so much different from our lifestyle. Your lifestyle is different from my lifestyle. So we really identify like those areas in your life that you need the clothing for. So having all of that, we do the wardrobe clean out, the edit and all of that so that we can let go of those things that no longer are working, no longer aligning with us. And then after that, then we do the shopping part, right? Where we actually get the things. And again, it's all based on all the previous work that we did. And then from there, we create the outfits, making sure that those outfits, again, really help you have that presence that you are working towards, towards that woman that you've become and that you're becoming as you grow, as you evolve in life, because we're always evolving, right? As women, we're always growing in and out. So that's why that's what I call my process. So that's usually so I think it's a process of not just getting the cute outfits. Like I said, it goes beyond clothing. I like to take them through like a transformation, like getting to know themselves better and just aligning with who they are, bringing that through their clothes and how they show up.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that it changes as we grow and as our life
Yes.
changes. And I'm really feeling that right now. I feel like my wardrobe, I have different preferences than I did when I
Mhm.
was in my 20s and
Yes.
30s. And, I really value comfort a lot more
Mhm.
now. So, but I still want to look relevant and, I still want to have cute clothes.
Yeah.
So, is that something that you help women sort out?
Yeah, yeah. I think most of the women who come to me, they're like, "Oh, I look so outdated." I'm like, "I
Mm,
don't even know what's in style anymore."
yeah.
Like, I'm still wearing my skinny jeans, or I'm wearing clothes from like, especially like when they're like millennials.
Yeah.
Wearing clothing from like my 20s, or I'm like, okay, I don't know what to wear, because of course you've evolved, like things have changed in your life and you no longer identify with a lot of pieces that are in there. So sometimes we feel like, okay, we have to stay. No, like, you've evolved, so of course your closet also has to evolve with you. It doesn't matter, it doesn't mean that you're gonna have to throw everything there, but definitely some things will have to go from there so that you can bring in new things, right?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is like, I just want to look more modern. It's not even like looking trendy, because, I'm not big on like chasing trends either. I'm like, choose them strategically, like use them strategically. If you really, really align with it, if your style really aligns with that trend, you can give it a try. I don't say no totally, but I'm not that big on trends. Like, it's more like pieces that will work for you, that are timeless, but still modern, right? So I work with this. It's like a virtual platform. It's like a virtual closet. So I work with them. We have like they can upload things from their closet. I have another section where I find the items for them and they're able to see it and buy it directly from there. And there's another section where I create the looks for them. So it's really nice. Like, if we're not able to do it in person, I mean, I still give access to it, to the ones that we do in person. But it's really nice that you're able to have like your own virtual closet
Yeah. Neat. Neat.
from many brands. When we're doing it on our own, we always stick to the same brands, right? But when you're working with someone like a style coach or a stylist, like, you get to learn about other brands that you can use.
Right. Yeah. You get a
Mhm.
whole different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. Rather than just going to your same online shopping tabs and buying from the same
And then the
brands.
Google will only give you those, I've noticed.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're searching for something, it'll still bring you to those stores that you're used to buying.
Yeah. That's right. So if there's women who are listening who have hyperhidrosis, can they access your services? Would you work with people who have hyperhidrosis to help do
Yes.
style coaching?
My gosh, I would love to, especially me suffering from that. I would totally understand where you're coming from and be able to, totally, totally help you. So, I hope that, after they see this, I can connect with some people, some more people that actually suffer from this, and just have a bigger community, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, what we wear really can help shape our confidence and how we're
Mhm.
feeling going out in the world, blending feeling comfortable and also feeling good in our clothes. It's an important part of our daily experience. Where can people find you to connect with you?
Well, the easiest way is on Instagram. You can find me at Style by Vany. So send me a message, say hi. If you get to hear this, I would really totally love to connect with you. And, we'll be happy to learn more about your story.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I have to say that I've been following your Instagram account for a while and you always look very stylish and while you feel like hyperhidrosis holds you back from wearing the clothes that you want to, you look really great in all of our outfits. And, I think that even though it adds challenges, there is a lot we can still do despite our sweat. It doesn't have to define us, and we can
Yes.
still sort of express our personality and our likes through our clothes.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. So encouraging.
Yeah.
We need to hear it sometimes from others, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, thank you, Vany, for speaking with us today.
Well, thank you, Karina, for having me here. I'm glad that, I got to learn about your community, and just really thank you for encouraging us and just, being part of our journey with hyperhidrosis.
Thanks for listening to the Sweaty Girl Society podcast. If you liked today's episode, join our free membership community at sweatygirlsociety.com/community.